Hello, everyone, and welcome back, winners. My name is Michael, and welcome to episode 19 of the Outside Bet. It's been another amazing week for the free bets. They all just keep on winning. At the end of this episode, of course, there'll be another one like there always is. And this time it's in the Friday night game in the Championship between West Brom and Sheffield United. So please stay on the game for that. And if you do like the content we're putting out, which is obviously all free, and you do get a free big bet, then please like and subscribe and comment on the YouTube video, especially if you have any requests. And if you're listening to the audio of the podcast, then please leave us a 5-star review. As always, we're outside because it's called the Outside Bet, and we're talking about betting. And we'll be looking today at some of the results from this week, which we've mentioned as we've gone along, especially over on TikTok. And thanks very much to all the comments and the likes and the follows and everything else on TikTok. The support's been absolutely amazing. We can have a quick look back at the extended football, probably a bit of Champions League. And we can, and in tomorrow's episode, because there will be an episode tomorrow, we'll preview the Premier League, and we've probably got a bet on Saturday's Championship as well. We just had a quick look at the numbers, and we've got the leans for you later on in this for the early leans for all of the football that we cover for this weekend. So it's action packed. It's all go. We love Thursdays because it gets us to look at the early situation on the football for the weekend. But it also, as I've said before, is quite often the best value proposition of the week. From here, the value tends to get eaten up. It gets eaten up in the order of popularity. So if you're a really popular league, then people will start betting on it tomorrow, which will tend to eat up the value. If you're a less popular league, then the value will take a bit more time to get eaten up. And so consider that when you listen to our bets. If you want to have a bet on something that we mentioned, that's the order to do it in, as well as the times of the kickoffs. Value is the only thing that matters. The models that you have or your own predictions are good and important, but please do not be under any illusions. If there is no value, you still can't bet on it. We always say the same thing. We will give you the leans in a minute. We've got leans on lots of leagues. They're very boring. In the future, as soon as the Patreon is up and running, the leans will be given out on a private Patreon-only audio podcast on the Patreon platform itself, and they will just be read out as a boring list of leans by me. They're boring, but they are incredibly profitable. If you were to go through those leans and say, oh, Michael said a leans on the overs, a leans on, I don't know, Preston, it doesn't matter what. It means that right now, when I'm reading them out, there is currently value on those. That means if you go onto that market and you find the same value and you look at what you think the score will be or your prediction, you will effectively find value there. And that means that they are bets good to go. They are not full bets for us because full bets are something completely different. When we have a full bet, it's a whole goal advantage. A lean tends to just be a half goal or a 3/4 goal advantage. But a full goal advantage turns into a full bet. Now, those we've already sent out for this weekend to the private top of the range WhatsApp members. Now, those guys get all the bets as and when we put them on ourselves. That's a very expensive service and it's not to be recommended for anyone who isn't a very, very serious gambler. Anything on the podcast and stuff, we can give away a free bet every time we do a pod, and we can give away to our patrons at the lower level, and we can give away every single lean, and to our patrons at the highest level, we are going to try and give away every single bet as we do them, albeit not necessarily all of the bets as and when they go live, because that really goes out to the top group. But all will become clear when the Patreon launches, which I'm hoping is going to be next week. There's been a bit of time. It takes a bit of time to clear a betting patron. There's lots of things they want to check out that you're not taking money off people, which is completely fair enough. Betting is not for everyone. It's over 18s, and it is an addictive thing to some people, and to those people, they should really watch what they're doing. There are more important things you can do than bet on sport, and at the end of the day, it might actually ruin your love of sport as well. I'm just going to quickly give you some leans. The Championship is not fully formed because of the midweek fixtures. However, the Friday night game, West Brom, West Sheffield United, there is a full big bet coming. We've also got a lean to Sheffield United. And in the Norwich City game on Saturday early kickoff, you will see there's a very strong lean or bet coming up on the total number of goals. But that is not confirmed because we haven't had the full data set come back from the midweek yet. Over in Germany, we've got leans on the overs in Mönchengladbach, the unders in St. Pauli, the overs in Leverkusen. On Sunday, the overs in Bayern and Werder. And then we've got leans on Mönchengladbach, Hoffenheim and Bayern and Werder Bremen. If I look quickly to Italy, we've got overs into the Torino game, the Milan game, the Bologna game. We've got unders in Genoa. We've got unders in Atlanta. We've got leans on Parma, Cagliari, Udinese, Genoa and Bologna. Not wanting to bore anyone with boring content, but this is actually very profitable content if you wanted to look at our leans and maybe do some trades. We've got into Spain, we've got unders, a couple of unders, Levante and Alaves. It's a very low scoring league at the moment, so there's always going to be a chance for unders. And we've got leans on Real Sociedad, Celta Vigo and Alaves. I'll quickly have a look at the Premier League, which we will preview in full tomorrow, but we've got a few overs on the West Ham, the Brentford, the Man United, and we've got some leans on Burnley, Palace, Brentford, Forest and Man U. And that's about all. So we'll have a quick. I mean, the Champions League is now finished for the week. We've got the Europa Cups and stuff tonight, but I don't really follow those. There's no value in them anyway because no one can predict what teams the top teams are going to put out. Arsenal keep the run rolling in the Champions League. I mean, that is just ridiculous. They're resting players left, right, and centre. They've got injuries left, right, and centre, and they're top of the whole thing. City beat Real Madrid. We had this down. Anyone who gets our trades as to when they come out, which would be the top patrons and or the WhatsApp group, know that we had City to beat Real, and we increased the trade when Real scored. Very satisfying. If you look at the league table for the Champions League, the only thing of real note, because there's no jeopardy for any of the good sides, the top 8 go through automatically. The next 24 play off. There's nothing really exciting goes on in this tournament until the knockouts. However, the top teams in Europe do not want to play 2 extra games in a playoff after Christmas. And currently, Liverpool, Dortmund, Tottenham, Newcastle and Chelsea are the positions 9 through 14. So that is super interesting because if one of those teams can get in the top 8, it means they will avoid 2 extra fixtures, which you can bet they want to do. Just as a matter of interest, before we go on to the free big bet, we've noticed that the number of games is going up in a couple of divisions. The Bundesliga and the Championship are very high average goals per game this season. They're in line with the Premier League, which is always high. Now, this really does make a difference to what we do, and it makes goal overs look good, and it also means supremacies are wider than the bookmakers expect, and some of their models have updated. I'm always wary of Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga, but everyone else, it's worth looking at those. The reason I'm wary about Bayern is well known. They could win 5-0. They should win 5-0. But if they suddenly rest all their players because they've got something coming up the following week, then they'll only win 1-0. And I'm sitting here in England and I don't know what they're going to do. So I'm always wary of Bayern. And likewise, Paris Saint-Germain, Real Madrid, Barcelona. Basically, the complete dominant teams. I'm always wary of going long goals, especially if the market's already at 3.5 or 4. You're having to go long goals to someone who might not score 5. Anyway, we're going to timestamp this video. It's 8:17 on the video, so coming up at 8 minutes 30, which we'll put down as the jump to point. It's time to look at the big free bet, which, as I said already, is on this week's Friday night game in the Championship. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the free big bet. Please like and subscribe and comment on the YouTube video and leave us a 5-star review if you listen to it on the pod. It all really helps us. Well done for listening this long if you've listened to the whole pod, and well done if you've also just jumped here to listen to the free big bet, because we have had a roll of it now. We are on 6 in a row, and we're back in the fertile ground for us of the Championship for this one. And we all, / you lot, all love a Friday night bet because it starts the weekend off in a good way. So let's try and keep our free bet going and our Championship bet running. If you want to listen to the main podcast, you'll get all the leans across all of our divisions, and the WhatsApp members have already got all of our bets. But for the Championship bet on Friday night, let's head to the West Brom and Sheffield United fixture. We can still get value on the overs for this game, and over 2.5 goals is 2.11. which is very, very good value, and over 2.25 goals, which is at 1.9 on the Asian goals market, that's also very good value. So I'm going to make up an evens bet for our main bet followers and our syndicate followers by splitting my stake across those 2 markets, which is the over 2.5 and the over 2.25. Our model's got 3.5 goals per game, so both of them are actually a whole goal value. So it doesn't matter which one you pick or which one you like or how it works. Just for your own background, we've got that split as 1.5 goals roughly to the home team, 2 goals to the away team. But there's no value in us in the supremacy market here, so we're just looking at total goals. But our 1 goal minimum has been clearly met on this game, and we hope it will be a high score on Friday night. So remember, for all the people with bet builders, ACCA makers, and all the people like that, we're only talking total goals. So any of the bet builders or anything else that pertain to goals or shots or anything else, you'll find good value there. But anything that pertains to one team winning or not, we don't find any value there at the moment. So make sure when you're looking at your bet builders, etc., you know what you're doing there. And as always, send us a message via the YouTube's comments if you want us to clarify anything on one of these bets. We will happily come back to you and even maybe reference you. If it's a good question, we will quote you in the next episode of the podcast, and we will give you a credit and answer your question on the pod. That's it then, guys. Let's have a brilliant Friday night with loads of goals, because we all love that anyway. All that remains to be said is good luck, goodbye, be safe and be nice, everyone, and love you lots, and we'll catch up very soon.